Hey guys, Cal here. Today I'm going to do a video on co-worker music. So co-worker music has just popped up in the last couple of months. It's been a thing that a lot of people have been trying to actually define. But basically, it's something that describes music that's sort of really bland or mediocre. Reddit user cul-de-sac to describe music that basically is really bad / mediocre. The idea that it's music that your stereotypical co-worker at a low-paid retail job will force you to listen to. The co-worker meme extends to other things like movies, memes, etc. All of these jokes are based on the idea that everybody has or have had a co-worker like this who has really poor taste in anything. Now, I have quite a lot of co-worker music in my own collection. Okay, so I guess this has been seen as a derogatory term to describe people whom you work with that have bad taste. But when I was researching this, I was like, well, I have to point the finger at myself because I have a lot of this stuff that I can consider, or bands in my collection that I can consider to be co-worker music. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a pile of stuff that I've got from my collection, and I'm going to do a countdown of the top 10 best co-worker music albums by co-worker artists. So number 10, Chili Peppers. Chili Peppers. Now this is great. Blood Sugar Sex Magik. Okay, we can't deny this. But we also can't go back to this time either. We're living in the present day. We're in the present day Chili Peppers era. Okay? So, whilst this wouldn't have been co-worker music at the time, the Red Hot Chili Peppers have definitely become what I consider, and again, this is very subjective because it's not well defined, but I consider it to be co-worker music because these days, yes, there's somebody you work with who likes Chili Peppers, but they have gotten quite pedestrian in my view in their recent output, probably the last 20 odd years, which is a fair chunk of their discography. So, Chili Peppers. Next one, we got Live. Okay, now I don't have Throwing Copper, and I want to pull that out. For whatever reason, I don't have Throwing Copper. I don't know why, but for some reason, I have the 2003 release Birds of Prey. Okay, so Live, I would admit, actually is very FM rock. You're bound to know somebody who is into the Throwing Copper album. And there's some certified bangers on that, right? You've got Lightning Crashes, Selling the Drama, I Alone. There's all the bangers, and then there's diminishing returns after that. So you've got Secret Samadhi, the second album, which had Freaks, Turn My Head, Bikini's Juice. That was still good. But as they kept going, it seemed to get more AOR and very middle of the road. And this is in that period. It's in that early 2000s period where it was hitting the apex of the middle of the road stuff that they were doing. And I do consider Live to be co-worker music, whether you like it or not. This is my video. So number eight, we've got Billy Joel. And I actually, there's many Billy Joel albums that I could pull to describe this. But I reckon this is probably the most apt thing that I could pull from the collection. Because when you've got tracks like You May Be Right, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me, those two songs alone, they're like, they're co-worker songs, dude. I can't stress enough how, that would be something that one of your colleagues would be like, yeah, you know what, oh yeah. It's I really like You May Be Right. It's a good song. Yeah. Billy Joel Glass Houses. This is where he starts to get into that. And later on, he will be doing the bridge, so it'll be like We Didn't Start the Fire territory, and that's when you're really getting into that sort of that mediocre period of his career. Number 8, Billy Joel Glass Houses. Black Keys. Okay, so the Black Keys, I don't think were initially to me, weren't really considered co-worker music. They were quite interesting blend of, Delta blues and garage rock very early on with their releases, Rubber Factory and Thick Freakness and things like that. And then when they got to El Camino, they really hit big with Lonely Boy. There's gold on the ceilings on this as well. But this is the point. This was the point where they became a co-worker music band. I think for me, yeah, I still really like this album, by the way, but I don't have any album after this release. I've got everything up until El Camino, but I've got nothing after that. So, number 7, Black Keys. All right. We all know there is a pseudo spiritual surfer environmentalist vegan, whatever it is. Okay, we're gonna pigeonhole people a little bit here, but they like chill music. They like to have a music that doesn't have any rough edges. It is just pleasant to listen to, put in the background, and then occasionally there might be some real thought-provoking lyrics. So the next person I chose is Jack Johnson. Okay, so Jack Johnson, I would say, would be one of the most sort of pedestrian, sort of middle of the road, easy listening artists that I know of. And this album is smooth, man. I mean, you've got there's Taylor, Horizon's been defeated. It's got the smooth jams, man. It's got the smooth acoustic session jams, and in my opinion, it's worthy of sort of being in this list. All right, so now we're gonna get into the top 5. So I've picked these, and again, it's not so much I like a lot of these, and some of them I don't like as much, and some of them have aged like milk, and this is one of the ones that has aged like milk. So it's Mumford & Sons. So no more, the debut album. Mumford & Sons, they've copped a kicking ever since they came out, to be honest. And I got on board with this, and I listened the shit out of this album. I know this album front to back. However, I got into the second album, not too bad, and then after that, I completely fell off. And then just for this video, I went back and listened, and I'm just not, I'm feeling the co-worker vibes pretty hard, and I don't think I'm going to go back to this, even though I own it. But Mumford & Sons, it's a doozy, man. It's an absolute doozy. Alright, so this one is for all the people out there that love themselves some smooth guitar, and you're all going to know somebody who you've worked with that thinks that John Mayer is the greatest guitarist who's ever lived. Okay, Continuum. Okay, I could have actually chosen Room for Squares, but I reckon that this one here is about as middle of the road as you get. Waiting on the World to Change, Gravity. Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. There you go. The epitome of the guitar center riff, meme that goes around in music stores. People are, Slow Dancing in a Burning Room is the epitome of this is a modern equivalent of Stairway to Heaven on guitar. So you shouldn't be playing that. And if you think the first person who's ever tried to play it in a guitar store, trust me, the staff members have heard it millions of times. This guy, again, he's super talented. I'm not denying the talent that he has. However, this is MOR. It's co-worker music. We're in the big leagues now. So this is we're getting really serious in this. So John Mayer. Number 3, we've got Coldplay. Now, Rush Blood to the Head. This was the arrival of Coldplay. So they hit with Yellow, and they hit with Shiver, and there was what was the other song? Don't Panic, and so their first album, that they were just getting going, and then this solidified pretty much their place in arena rock and middle of the road arena rock. In My Place, The Scientists, Clocks. People. These are all bangers that people are still singing in arenas now. You'll know a co-worker who likes Coldplay. I'm a person. I am that co-worker. I'm not going to shy away from that. Although I do understand that they're a bit vanilla at times. This I think came at a period where they were still relatively interesting and had some musical things to say. But then I guess over a period of time, probably starting from something like Everyday Life, or even maybe a little bit further back, Ghost Stories, the rot started to set in, and they were becoming more and more and more middle of the road and homogenized, and to the point where they're having to get lots of features on their albums, and the writing sort of started to get really unimaginative, and that sort of cemented their place. So people already didn't like them from the start. There was like a whole league of people that were against Coldplay and just wanted them to fail. But ultimately, they became too big to fail. So, that's that. But Rush of Blood to the Head. This is a co-worker of a music album. I consider this to be right up there with that. You'll know someone who you've worked with who has this. So we've got the two big boys. The two big boys that I considered the right up the top of co-worker music. So number 2 is Kings of Leon. Only by the Night. So Kings of Leon, considered sort of indie garage rock, early 2000s, youth and young manhood, Aha, Shake, Heartbreak, and then the third album, Because of the Times. When they made Because of the Times, that was their third, they were starting to get into the idea of becoming an arena rock band, or like, say, the southern equivalent of U2, whatever that means. They get called that quite a lot. And then by the time this came out, they had pretty much gone into full arena rock mode. So you got Sex on Fire, Use Somebody, Revelry, Notion. They're all on here, right? And you know someone who had it. I bought it. I'm that co-worker. I'm that guy. Has it. There's some really good moments on this. And there are moments on the subsequent albums as well. I don't think that they're a complete write-off, but in the grand definition of co-worker music, the Kings of Leon are right up there, man. Just unbelievable. Number 2, Only by the Night, Kings of Leon. That's the number 2 co-worker artist. And now this is considered the most co-worker music ever. And whether you like that or not, but it doesn't matter. This band is unequivocally the greatest co-worker music band to exist, and very much the definition that they are very much the definition of it. And that's U2. U2, Joshua Tree. So U2, universal lyrics, instrumentation that's just really, really nice to listen to, sing-along choruses. Look, there's dynamic. It's not to say that this isn't dynamic. There's dynamics in this album, right? It's got some great songs on it, Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, And then, you've got gritty songs like Bullet the Blue Sky. I mean, it's a very front-loaded album, right? So, side 1 is, one of the best sides in rock music. Having said that, U2 are co-worker. I believe to be the top of the co-workers music meme. They did this, but then they went and did Achtung Baby, which was very, very experimental. And then they went further into that with Zeropa, and then into techno music with pop. So they had a very, very interesting period throughout the 90s, but then something happened and they course corrected, and they never ever really got back to having a balance of good songs and interesting music. They just kind of went as safe they could get, and All That You Can't Leave Behind is the album where I feel like there's before and after that album. And for me, after that, they were just the most generic band on earth. Like the lyrics got stale, the instrumentation got stale. It seemed really like the most uninspired music that could be made. So U2 is the number one on my top 10 list of co-worker bands. And honourable mentions go out to some of these, and you could argue that these could have been in the top 10 instead. Jason Mraz. I want to also shout out to Snow Patrol for that, the Chasing Cars song. I want to also shout out to Allies. Who else? I want to shout out to Train. Train could have made the list, probably could have got up to the sort of number 10. But I think I've made a pretty good decision with what I've done. So thanks for watching, everyone. Top 10 co-worker music.